I'm going to hit the...
Don't do the countdown. Just do the intro. I don't hear you.
AFK discussions starts now.
Yo, what up? I don't know why he's doing that. We get like a little blank screen before we come in. It always throws me off.
I don't know what's up with that. But
it's weird. Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of AFK Discussions. It's your main man, Jason. And with me as always is Phil. He's taking a drink right now. How's it going, man?
So parched. I'm doing great. Busy week, but I'm doing great. Busy week for you as well.
Yeah, so
excited
busy
to be here. We have an awesome guest that we're going to get into. But before we do that, prior to the show, this is huge news.
Huge.
And I meant to get sound drops, but I've just been so busy because there's a couple sound drops that I definitely want to use of just of random clips that I want to definitely be dropping as sound drops in the future. But needless to say, huge announcement on your part. I mean, probably the biggest announcement of the show history. You are now a soccer coach.
I am a soccer coach, guys. That's right. You heard it here first. I am taking over as the U13 girls. That's anyone under from age 13 to 11. And it's going to be awesome. The coach decided not to coach any longer. And my daughter was trying out for the team. And they were like, hey, you used to play soccer. You know soccer. You're at the field. Pretty much you live here because you have kids that play soccer. Why don't you coach? So I said yes. So I'm now a soccer coach. And it's going to be an adventure to say the least. But it's going to be really fun. I can't wait to get on the field and start drills and just, help bring up the next generation of soccer players. My daughter's coming in the room.
Just making sure that it's actually a person and not
not a ghost.
No, so that's awesome. That's always exciting when you could be right a part of your kids' team like that. So I'm sure that's very exciting. So that is awesome. I've just been preparing for Quarantine Fest that's coming up. Cheap plug, here it is. Quarantine Fest, June 8th, which is actually next weekend, which is crazy. I'm going to be speaking. I'm going to be one of the speakers here at 10 a.m. There I am, right there, 10 a.m.
That's a nice logo you got there.
Yeah, not bad. Made by Jason, of course. But I'm going to be talking Bridgewater Triangle. I believe $15 gets you in the door to hear me speak. Obviously, it's free to walk around the vendor area. But if you want to hear me speak, it's going to cost you some money, but it's cheap money. I'm going to be talking about Bridgewater Triangle, all the different things that I've been discovering over the past couple years. Puckwudgies, portals, Dogman, Bigfoot, you name it, I'm going to be talking about it. So please come out and see me. If you guys are in the Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts area, it's a quick trip. So come out and see me. So very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I'm going to miss it, but I'm in Tennessee. And
yeah, I don't blame you. That's a far drive. Drive. But that's okay because you'll be there in spirit.
That's right.
I'll be promoting AFK as well. So, don't think AFK will not be represented. It'll be there. And yeah, so I'm excited about that. It's coming up quick. I can't believe it. But yeah, very, very exciting. But we have a very special guest. Jason, why don't you introduce him? And as you introduce him, I'll bring him up.
Yeah. So our special guest this week is Chris Holm from Conspire, a Theory podcast. And we're going to get into everything conspiracy. We're going to talk aliens. We may even talk flat Earth, guys. I was teasing flat Earth earlier when we were talking, and yeah, I love me some flat Earth.
So without any further ado, here he is. Welcome to the show. What's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, how's it going? I believe the proper pronunciation is flat Earth with a U.
Flat Earth. Oh, okay.
And anyone that disagrees, clearly they have been Mendelud,
That's
Yeah.
right.
which is
Oh,
also
man.
the proper pronunciation. Hey guys, how's it going? It's good to finally get on your show. I remember I was
Yeah.
listening to a couple episodes back. You guys were you ran out of stuff to talk about and was rambling about being on listening to the Kirk Minahan show.
Yeah,
I
that's
think I've
right. That's
I've
right.
listened to I've heard about that show. Is that the one that Blind Mike works on?
That's right. That's right. You a
Blind
Blind
Mike
Mike fan?
Geary.
Yeah, that's right.
I actually dressed up as him at an event. I went
No
up to an event
kidding.
and I cosplayed as Blind Mike, and then they took pictures and they sent it to him. Said, "Oh, we got to send this to Blind Mike," and they're like, "What's he going to do with it?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm a huge Minute fan. I'm also a fan of Mike's work as well. Why Are You Laughing, of course, and the Blind
Ah,
Mike Project. Yeah,
I
so
love that show and
yeah.
everything that's going on now with Nick Rekieta and the
Oh yeah.
collisions of all the YouTube verses out there with the Dabbleverse, because that's where I come in. I come in through the Dabbleverse.
Oh,
So it's
interesting.
like through all that mixing of universes and all that stuff.
Sure.
It's fun. It's fun. We'll probably
Yeah.
when we run out of proper stuff to talk about, we could probably delve into that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, what a small world. That is so weird. Yeah, no, I'm not too big into the Dabbleverse just through Blind Mike's him talking about it, but
Mhm.
dude, it's funny. It's definitely interesting, definitely funny, and a lot of the stuff has been happening lately with that story that just broke, especially with the drugs and the comedian. I forget the comedian's name and stuff, but that is a crazy
Oh
story.
yeah. Don't worry, I know. I'll
Yeah.
fill you in. No.
I have
Dude, it's
no
wild.
idea what you guys are talking
Oh,
about.
this is actually crazy. This is crazy. You could please just go ahead and tell it because it actually is a kind of a wild story.
Okay, well, what's going on? Depending, it's one of those things where this is a situation where there simply are no heroes. No one's a good guy in this. Nick Rekieta, he like last month, probably 2-3 weeks ago, he did a stream where he was just blasted, and of course, people thought that he was drunk, and then other people who are probably more in the know are like, no, that's not drunk. That's not drunk. That's being coked up. And then he apparently got busted, and some people are speculating that he was tattled on by Aaron Emholt, who is the host of Steel Toe Morning Show, which is they got into, bedfellows, quite literally, swapping wives and telling lies and snorting cocaine and all this stuff and this drug mess. And of course, Aaron, the Steel Toe Morning Show host, he is making a slog just going from show to show, just dropping, telling what everybody's been up to, all this stuff, and he's coming off as like a real scumbag and all this. While Nick Rekieta is sort of behind bars. And the funny thing is that Aaron's wife, April, she was actually, arrested at the Rekieta compound, with them. And of course she was released. And of course, because she was released, some people tend to speculate, maybe she turned on them. Maybe she's,
Right.
spilling tea in school and stuff of this nature. And it is so salacious. I think it's slowly starting to calm down, but until we actually enter, criminal proceedings and all this stuff. And there was things where they were live streaming the court proceedings, and of course trolls, because Zoom is, highly susceptible. They would come in and scream the N-word and tell Nick to kill himself.
Oh my gosh.
Bro.
And
no, it's crazy.
And it was and it's the thing is, because the judges that I think one of the judges that's sort of handling this case is one that he was haranguing, like personally, like on his show, just admonishing them, and now they're pretty much holding legal proceeding over him. So there's, as far as conspiracy goes, the deeper conspiracy, it goes way up there, and there's so many ebbs and flows, and people are getting into fights over it, and people are turning on each other, and it delves into so many verses, like the Dabbleverse, and then another verse which I frequent is the Ripperverse as well, because Eric July, who released a comic, Nick wasn't critical about it, but he didn't support Eric fast enough to satisfy him. So he says like, oh, you're against me too. How dare you? And then of course they had it out online. And then, Nick, of course, he was, a bit more clear mind, but completely wiped the floor with him. But of course he's making a big show of like, oh, even though he's mean to me and says all these bad things about my book and my business, I'll pay for his rehab and stuff.
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
being an absolute jerk about it. And it's
Mhm.
just, and that is just, that's too much, too soon, too fast. Everybody
Yeah.
just needs to
It's
calm down.
crazy. Oh,
And
yeah, it's
it's like,
nuts.
what are
It's
you
nuts.
doing?
It's nuts, especially when the guy that gets arrested also has kids too, so there's, like, kids involved in this too, and
Oh,
then,
the
like you
kids.
said, he did it, like, the streaming thing where he's, like, online, like, basically, they have the proof that he was on well, not the proof, but they have, like, reason to believe he's on drugs, and, like, it's crazy, so, yeah, dude.
Yeah, well, there are
It's
like
a whole
there are 8
crazy
kids
Yeah,
involved. Like
8
not only
right.
Nick's 5, but Aaron's
Yep,
3,
there you
which
go.
he confessed that he brought over there, even when they were
Right.
in their drug-fueled binges and stuff like this, and wife swapping with
Right,
their stepmom
right.
and stuff like this. It's so ugly and just
Yeah, right. Yeah,
but still,
bizarre. Very, very strange.
but
Yeah,
I
I just
can't
read
help but
about
pull
that.
up a chair.
Yeah, oh,
Can't
yeah,
help
because
it.
it's,
It's
it's
salacious.
yeah, and you're like, "Oh my," it's stuff you see in, like, movies and you're like,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah, Jason, just nod your head and pretend you understand what we're saying.
'cause, dude, it's weird, because then you get into the Stuttering John world and dude, that's a whole other
Oh God. Yes. So much.
but, yeah, we have a lot of different cool things to talk about, tonight,
Yeah.
but,
Absolutely.
I don't know where you wanna start, Jason. I know, Chris wanted to definitely talk about aliens and stuff
Yeah.
like that, so maybe we'll start there and then we'll branch off from
Well,
there.
let's tell us a little bit about your show and
Yeah,
what got
that
you
too.
started, and let's start from there. Yeah.
I mostly talk about like alien abduction and general conspiracy. When I first started it, like a couple years ago in like 2016, at the time I thought conspiracies, that's a safe topic. No, that's never going to explode into anything. It's good and it's safe. And then the elections happened and everything just shot to heck. And now it's like, oh, if I even mention certain base words, I'm going to get kicked off of
Yeah.
algorithms and stuff.
Mhm.
hmm
And it's such a thing. But the topic of alien abduction and UFO lore and all that stuff is so fascinating. And I talk to mostly experiencers and people who are boots on the ground researchers and authors and stuff like this, who mostly deal with direct interaction with these alien beings and such of that nature. I'm not a UFO guy, not really, but that's just the stuff that I deal with. A lot of the stuff that I find fascinating is personal interaction with whether it be through as some people interpret through sleep paralysis, where they have direct interactions with the beings or other type of beings, or some other nature where they get either downloads or some spiritual stuff of that nature. There's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot going on, and a lot of people they come at it from so many different angles. It's rather fascinating. Whether aliens are actually visiting us or it's some sort of mental thing that we're conjuring up ourselves mentally, the phenomenon itself is utterly fascinating. And either
hmm
angle, through either believer or skeptic, I have no problem with if you want a definite conclusion on it. But I just find the encounters themselves just mesmerizing. I love learning about these characters and these worlds that they come from and all this stuff, as told second, third hand from the contactees themselves. As far as I know, no alien has really sat down for an interview. We know there's footage, but we don't know definitely for sure if it's the real deal or not.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
true. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to say this real quick. So do you believe aliens are interdimensional, or they're coming from, millions of miles away from other planets?
I used to believe in the extraterrestrial hypothesis that they came from different planets.
hmm
One of the things that I've noticed, the telltales of the alien abduction phenomenon, is the more we learn about our natural world, the further away the aliens come from. In the early 40s and stuff, they came from Mars, they came from Venus, then they came from Mars, then they came from Alpha Centauri, and now they're from the dimension next door.
hmm
That seems to be a pattern that I noticed that tends to come up. And same thing with the aliens themselves. Before, they used to land and then they like pick us up and take us into their ship. And now they just, peek into the windows, and now they're, melting through the walls, and now they're just suddenly appearing at the foot of the bed. It's rather remarkable, and it's something that I've noticed. I don't know what to make heads or tails. I'm still gathering, I'm still, holding all the cards to my chest as far as what is what and how it pertains to us. But as I'm at the point where I'll just sit down and I'll just listen to people. I know that in the communities and stuff, there's a lot of hoaxers and stuff of this nature, and people who are, they're bad actors, whether they are authentic contactees or experiencers or not. And because of that causes so much drama that, a lot of people want to just throw out the entire experience out, baby out with the bathwater.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot to navigate. And so many people are so entrenched in their camps as well.
Yeah, and schools of thought. I noticed that too. That's like a universal paranormal thing. That's just not UFO people either. Bigfoot people can be like that as well, where you have the certain Bigfoot people that are like, oh, it can only be a flesh and blood creature. It can't be interdimensional, or vice versa, or the ultra Christian type people who think every single thing that's paranormal is probably a demon tricking you. So like there's a lot of different things out there where like people are just like very hard lined on, and it's throughout the paranormal community for sure. And UFOs is just another one of those.
Absolutely. I mean, as far as back to your question, if we were to continue with the interplanetary intergalactic hypothesis, then as far as the new nugget of what we've learned as far as time dilation, as you've seen in Interstellar, which I still argue is just a ripoff of Gunbuster without anime chicks and mechas. But from what people seen of Interstellar, as far as how we understand how time dilation works, that if the aliens were to come from other galaxies or planets, in order to come here at an efficient time, they would need some mastery of time travel. Yeah. And the thing is, with time travel, once you enter that into the equation, that means that they can be infallible, because there would be, as far as we talk culturally about aliens and stuff of this nature. So if they have the masters, if they are truly masters of time, then they would have erased any mistakes. That means there's no Roswell, there's no Aurora, there's none of that stuff wiped from the map. Mm-hmm. There would be no mistakes. At least I believe so. And if we were to factor in time travel, then that would mean, if that's a factor, that then we are living in the best timeline possible, that everything has been ripped and scrubbed, and whether or not you believe in the CERN, and timelines of that nature, that then we're in the best possibilities, because everything going forward is sort of cemented so far. I mean, I know that people tend to claim with the Mandela effect of having memories of altered timelines of that nature. And some of it I'm heavily suspect of. Some of it I have my own conspiracies, about it, that I think doesn't deal with people's memory so much as just our techocracy taking over and running our lives. But we'll probably get to that later when you guys decide to.
Can I interject real quick? Because you brought up Mandela effect, and something happened to me just the other day that is a Mandela effect times 2. That makes sense. So I am a huge Star Wars nerd. I mean, people, I can't see my tattoo on there. Anyways, there's a Star Wars tattoo on my arm somewhere.
Yeah, sure there is.
But anyways, I can't turn my arm for some reason. I can't. There it is, right there. So, the whole thing. I know both of you should have heard the Luke, I am your father is now, no, I am your father, right? Well, I was watching a video the other day on like the Star Wars Instagram page, and they played that clip, and it's changed again. It says, no, Luke, I am your father. I'm like, what? So you're telling me there's 2 changes now? It was no, I'm your father. It from, first Luke, I am your father, then no, I'm your father. And now it's no, Luke, I am your father. I'm like, this is blowing my mind. What is going on? I mean,
I don't know. I remember the interview with James Earl Jones where he stated that it was no Luke, I am your father. Yeah, clearly had stated that. And I can understand that from going back and forth. I guess one of the proponents or one of the catalysts that a lot of people believe is accountable for most Mandela hits is the use of parody and satire. That we get so infatuated with parody and satire that a lot of people suspect that that's what we're remembering. We're not so much remembering, the actual line of Magic Mirror on the wall. We're remembering the SNL skit of whatever actress all painted up saying Magic Mirror on the or Mirror on the wall because they messed up their lines because it's Saturday Night Live and they goofed it up. So I can understand that being a thing. As far as with the Star Wars. Yeah, I think it's because of there's so many factors because it's just a clip and it's that scene is so iconic that it has been shredded to pieces with satire and parody. And I think that is causing what I call cultural pollution. Same thing with the Greys, how the Greys have become to prominence as being the dominant alien factors, whereas before it was short Italian men. And it's gone from short Italian men to Greys now. And I largely blame Whitley Strieber that for making that popular with his bone-chilling cover.
So,
interesting.
So the Whitley Strieber, are you talking about because I never really read any of his stuff, but I used to listen to, he had a podcast a little while, listen to that, which I can't remember what it was called now.
Unknown Country, I think.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Memory.
Yeah. But the book, what was his famous book called?
Communion.
Communion, yeah. Now, are you talking about, is that the Italian man? Was that from Communion?
No, that the Communion had the cover with the gray on it.
Yeah.
And it was it sent ripples down the pop culture zeitgeist or whatever, that from then on everyone remembers that bone-chilling cover. Before then, as you remember, was it the space pancake story and other type of stuff, some of the Russian ones where people would describe there would be short men with olive colored skin and they'd have dark slicked back hair. That was mostly the proponent, and if they had spacesuits, they would have silver spacesuits. Sometimes they would have the bubble helmets and stuff like that. Those were popular, and we just don't hear about those anymore. And I'm like, what happened?
Right. Yeah, that reminds me of the 1950s pop culture. When you think of aliens and stuff with the big.
Oh, sure. Oh, even think about Back to the Future, right?
Yeah.
When he goes back to the 50s or whatever, he basically is kind of it's very similar to that.
Yeah.
That is kind of weird. It makes you wonder if that's just if these things are entities, are they just portraying themselves however they want to be portrayed, and then as times change, they portray themselves as something else?
Well,
so that's why that I'm just thinking if it is an entity, if it's not an entity, then we're just talking about people somehow. I mean, which can happen in certain instances where people are just mass. One person sees something and then all these other people claim to see it too. I don't know. It's just weird.
And there's so many races of aliens. They talk about you got the Greys, you have the tall whites, you have the Nordics, you have all these. And then I always think of the Indrid Cold case, where he's I think he was bald, right? Was he bald?
No, I believe he had slick back hair as well.
Oh, was it slick back?
Yeah,
because there's a picture supposedly of him in Congress or something. There's this guy.
No, that's Valiant Thor. You're thinking.
Oh, Valiant Thor. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting them. Ingrid Cold is the guy that stopped the person along the highway, right? And told him.
He was wrapped into, mainly known as the Grinning Man. He was wrapped into the Mothman prophecies, which he probably had nothing to do with it, but it was just a weird thing that helped fill that book out.
Yeah, there's so many theories. So they get crossed in my head. I'm very ADD, so sometimes all of them become one story.
Yeah, me too. I get that too.
Yeah. But so the what's his name? We're talking about the photo with the guy we were talking about, Valiant Thor. Yeah. So that's another. It's just fascinating that I mean I mean a lot of people, is there documentation, like governmental documentation of Valiant Thor? Because I know there's a lot of stuff that came out recently. Is there anything on him that was officially released, like from the government, or is that still just speculation of this person existing?
From what I can remember, I don't believe that there has been any official. I think a lot of people like to say that he was simply a fictionalization by Frank Stranges, who wrote 2 books on Valiant Thor. But the picture that you're talking about, some people say that that's simply Frank Stranges himself.
Oh,
that it's a picture of him at an event. But the cultural impact of Valiant Thor has been felt, that even current contactees to this day still claim to resonate and meet, oftentimes encounter an entity that refers to itself as Valiant Thor. Now we got to think: are they just simply borrowing, from other lore just to prop themselves up, or is the phenomenon itself, figuring, well, this is a popular archetype. Let's manifest it so that way we don't freak them out. Because as with the false memory syndrome, as well as screen memories encapsulated, it is possible that that they do this, because we hear people who tend to encounter past loved ones on UFO, as well as seeing Dogman and Bigfoot on UFO. So who knows? Maybe this is just simply a skin that gets loaded up randomly.
Yeah,
sure,
that is true. Because I there's a alarm. Do you guys hear that?
No.
Okay, someone, I think maybe my daughter's phone's in here. It's being called. As long as you don't hear on the mic, then we're good. So one thing I was going to say, you're talking about maybe this is just the persona being loaded up. And we were talking earlier. You mentioned something about entities appearing in rooms and stuff. Like how you're progressed. So I had a couple of encounters of something appearing in my room, and one that was the farthest fetched one that I experienced was I saw a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot in my room. And then when you said maybe that's just what's loading up, maybe I am seeing some sort of interdimensional extraterrestrial entity, and that just it's what's loading up at that time. That's weird. I just when you said that, I was just like, maybe.
Yeah, very well. I mean, a friend of mine, she had an encounter with a Mothman, but it was indoors. And Mothman simply manifested, and just disappeared into the wall as far as she could remember. It's just a thing where there seems to be like some type of archetype where it grabs these sort of default skins as far as whatever is popular and just loads them up like a custom skin that we see in a video game. Maybe this is their version of Fortnite or something of that nature. It's rather a strange thing, but then, exercising how our reality works out, maybe that's just how we are interpreting it as that.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not really doing anything at all. It's like I used to use this analogy with a cat, where you get a cat in your arms and you pet the cat, and then you turn your hand into a claw and you attack the cat, and the cat fights off, and then you change your call back from just to a regular hand and you start petting the cat again. The cat looks around like, wait, something was attacking me. What the hell just happened?
Yeah.
From our perspective, we're playing with the cat. From the cat's perspective, I'm just sitting here chilling, getting petted, and then all of a sudden this monster tries to kill me, and I fight for my life off it, and then it disappears. That it could be a thing where it's just shifting perspectives from different vantage points.
That's true.
Yeah, definitely interesting. The whole thing is definitely fascinating and interesting. That's for sure. Definitely food for thought for sure.
Yeah. And that, also, it kind of makes me think of the, simulation theory. And it takes me to, because a lot of people put a lot of credence to the Matrix movies as they're kind of, showing you kind of, that, this is a simulation, whatever. But the second Matrix movie, and they have like the Merovingian and his crew, where they have ghosts and they have like, different sort of entities. that are represented like in his crew. There's like the twins that are the ghosts and they can face through walls and stuff. I don't know. That just kind of reminded me of that. Of course, my brain thinks like that. I think in pop culture.
Yeah, I understand and recognize the merits of simulation theory, but so far, so many people use it or misuse it as just a way of trying to eradicate God from the equation.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think because of that misuse, some people feel that there's some sort of stink about it. And also, a lot of the people that do talk about it that are in prominence are people like Andrew Tate, who makes it in reference like, oh, you have to cheat the matrix of this nature, like as if real life is somehow some sort of gamified thing where you can enter a cheat code instead of, relying on hard work and effort and persistence to achieve your goals. And I think because of that's susceptible to young men, and they end up falling into that trap of, if I just cheat my way, instead of persevering and actually working towards a goal, I can achieve it of that nature. And I do feel like that gets exploited, in our culture.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Now, you said before we started the show, you said you had some like, I don't know if you said drawings or some pictures you wanted to share with us. Is this probably as good enough time as any to get into that kind of stuff if you want?
Sure thing.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, we'll let you lead the way.
I've worked on a compendium. I don't know when it's going to come out yet, but I was working on the volume 1 of my compendium, and I did several illustrations, like up to 60 to 70 illustrations for a compendium book that would be coming out either, if not this year, then next year.
Awesome.
Let me see.
So before we get in, are they like illustrated by hand, or do you use like computer illustrations? Because I use Illustrator a lot on the computer. I'm an illustrator also, but pen and pencil is way harder for me than using the computer. So
oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is the first one. This is pretty much collection of races from an experiencer known as Keith Andrews. He was looking for an artist to do some work because he wanted to make an illustrated edition of his books, which are Races of the World, which is the a compendium of ancient races like dwarves and elves and all that stuff, and as well as some extraterrestrials like the Greys and the other type of creatures that we see up there. What we have here, this is just a collection of 4 of them. In the lower right is the Spearnock Din, which are these sort of little 6-inch tall mushroom-like beings that have like a mouth in the middle of their stalk that comes out like legs, and they have little phalanges for arms, and they just hop around. And then next to that is a sort of a spheric type of entity that's just like a sphere that floats and all that stuff. And then in the upper right, we have a Theranthrope, which is sort of like, I think the name has been changed to sort of lycanthrope, but it's sort of a dog-headed man type of entity that's not unlike the dogmans that we encounter, but this one is more, his legs are more digigrade as opposed to, flat-footed, we have where like you would see with either a Bigfoot. And then the Gorgon is simply a variation of the rock elemental with this sort of demonic like entity, like a gargoyle, except instead it's made out of rock and these natures. And I simply do all these illustrations and put them for his book that he's still working on putting together. And I think we're going to be working on the 2nd volume soon coming up. So there's like about 60 of these, left, that you guys can mill through once you buy the book.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. What's so interesting about these little mushroom people, as soon as I saw it, I thought they were mushroom people. And I immediately thought of Kevin from Where the Weird Ones Are. He had an experience with entities just like that, and they were mushroom people and everything, and they were small, and they were like this like fairy type land and kind of an experience. And yeah, it's just strange that that's the one that you happen to bring up. That's really cool.
Yeah, I've spoken to Kevin at length.
Oh, okay, so you do know Cat. Okay, cool.
Maybe later I'll reveal some other things, but not
Oh,
right now. But
interesting.
as a for right now in this part of the conversation, I'll simply say, to answer your questions, these are all done in Clip Studio Paint.
Okay.
I just
Cool.
it's done digitally. I do all the line artwork myself, and do all you just throw everything together just to make it all nice and pretty. And then I send them up to Keith, and then he gives me the grade. We go back and forth. I loved working on this book because I got to work firsthand with an experiencer, and he is the first hand. So it's all first person. There's no, well, this guy said to me and I wrote it in a book. No, this is firsthand experience. So I'm getting it from the source.
Yeah.
This is the next best thing to, having one of these guys actually show up in my bedroom and say, hey, check these out. It's long. I would simply do up sketches. I'd send it up to him, and then we go back and forth. We would do some Zoom call meetings or Skype, and we just, talk about stuff, and then I'd make notes, make corrections, and then I would do, the final finished versions and send them to him. And if he needed any changes, he'd just let me know. But it was so much fun because we talk about I get to learn about these creatures, on a first name basis type of thing, where I'd learn, all the little nuances of them, how they look, how they think, how every single little unique metamorphic feature of them functions there, and it was just, it was an adventure for me. And then in the last 15 minutes, me and him would just, we just talk about D&D and all that fun stuff, and it was just fun. It was fun to just talk to a man, do the business, and then just talk, just as just two men who really love, this stuff and this culture, and just goof off in a bit. And that was just, for me, it was an absolute blast.
Yeah.
That's awesome. No, that sounds like an awesome experience. Yeah, thank you for sharing this.
I have to comment.
Do you want me to keep it up for a comment?
Yeah, keep it up for a minute. So the Black Sphere thing. I don't know if you've listened to our past few episodes, but this is a theme that's been coming up over and over. So I experienced something very, very similar to this. It wasn't. It was a sphere, but it wasn't solid. The thing I experienced was, I always describe it as a tumbleweed. If you imagine a tentacle like spinning and intertwining, but it was a black ball.
I've heard you recall that.
Yeah. That when you brought it up, I was like,
yeah, close.
I've seen something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I love it. No, yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's really cool. You did a great job on those. That's no doubt about that.
I've got a couple more, so we can bring up other stuff as we get on down the conversation.
Sure, absolutely. Cool. There we go. Let me get that back. All right, cool.
Awesome.
Very good. All right, Jason, where do you want to go from here, bro? I'll let you drive the ship.
Gosh, I don't know. There's so much. There's so much stuff. Is there, Chris? Do you want to steer the helm? Take it where you want it to go, and we'll. I
like that.
I'm
idea.
because I am fascinated with everything you've talked about so far.
Yeah.
And I just want to know how far down the rabbit hole we can go,
Yeah, sure. Let's take a look at something here.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. I love it.
Yeah.
I think you guys would get a kick out of this.
All right, let's bring it up. Nice. It says UFO Daddy, and it's a guy flexing. Lots of muscles. We've got some aliens on the one side. Is that a robot on the other side? Or is that an alien too? Okay. I love it. And the closest encountered man. That's for the podcast listeners out there. That way.
Yeah, it's a fun tribute to J. Allen Hynek, where I drew him as this beefed up dude, And of course, all the aliens are just just grabbing onto all his muscles. Even
Yeah.
the one on the right is that's from the what is it? Those two men, Pascagoula from
Yeah.
Oh,
Pascagoula in
yeah,
a
that's
classic
right.
gray,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then another gray like, which is a sort of a reptilian variant, and he's just flexing all to hell.
Yeah.
I had so much fun doing about this because so many people refer to J. Allen Hynek as sort of the father of modern ufology.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some people even take it a bit too far and call him a UFO daddy.
Yeah.
So I sort of took that and I had fun with it. So I said, okay, let's goof off on this.
I love it. No, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
That is awesome.
What did he think of it?
Has he seen
Who?
it? J. Allen Hynek.
His son, maybe. I don't
Oh
know
yeah,
if
he
his son had
passed away,
ever
didn't
covered.
he?
Oh,
He
did
passed
Passed
away.
away a long time
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
J. Allen Hynek.
I get
probably
him
passed away in, like,
confused with the other guy who had the
Stanton Freeman.
Yeah, Stan Freeman. Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
The J. Allen Hynek, I think his last appearance was on the Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where he had a cameo role on that, and then I think
Mhm.
shortly after that he might have passed on, but he's been passed for like almost 30-40 years now, but he's certainly been a prominent figure. I think
Yeah.
his surviving son still goes to the circuits and goes to conferences and stuff, and so I guess carries the torch for his father, and that's really touching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it is
I'd
definitely.
probably like to see what he think about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. He'd probably love it. No, that's good.
Mm.
Yeah. Like, I'm glad you came on because I probably know the least amount about UFOs than any other paranormal subject for sure. So this has been like a whole learning
Yeah.
experience for me. But yeah,
Let me
no,
bring up
I love
one
that.
more.
Awesome. So the idea, this is I'm going to insert another idea of ufology. Because we kind of talked a little bit about it before we started. Because I said I believe more in a hollow earth than flat earth now. And there's this big theory of UFOs coming from a hollow earth. And can't remember if it was Admiral Byrd or if it was someone else who said that they saw saucer-shaped ships in the hollow earth with swastikas painted on the side. Have you heard about that stuff?
Yeah, what you're referring to is the Frill Society.
Yes. Yeah.
That's and I think it was like Maria Orson or something of that nature, where she was like a large, and I think a lot of that is, I don't know. I understand that General Byrd, his accounts are documented and they're recalled as absolutely real, even though it was a deathbed confession. I don't know if he did one interview, and then I don't know if he did a deathbed confession or if it was all through his initial interview. The stuff about that, I don't know what to make of it. I don't know how much weight to push into it. But since he had done that and talking about he definitely was a catalyst for the hollow earth theory. From then on, I think as far as equating, the Third Reich in coercion with UFO forces, that's where I think Maria Orson, and then which some people tend to believe that she's a fictionalization, but even then there is still that prominent note of her in it. And the Vril Society is the one that they're mostly known as, working with them, and I believe that they are the ones that General Byrd had encountered when he had gone down there into the hallowed earth. I don't know anything much more other than that.
Yeah. So I know there was also was it Die Glocke, the bell that the Nazis supposedly made, which was a bell-shaped ship of some sort that could possibly time travel, or I know there was rumors of it, and then something similar to what was described as the Nazi bell appeared in a forest in the U.S. I can't remember which forest, some forest, but it was witnessed there. So I mean that, along with like the hollow earth, or if they're because the Nazis were big on the Aryan race, and
Well, they had a large interest in occult studies,
yeah,
and they put a lot of their researches into researching supposedly occult things around the world. That's where we have that vein in the Indiana Jones stories. You know, Indiana Jones, Wolfenstein, the video game. If you follow that, all these sort of occult, Nazi war machines and fantastic stuff that a lot of people do with like speculation and running on top of that. And it's sort of a thing that's simply taken, gone wild and crazy.
Yeah.
And as far as, what merits there are to it, I do believe that there are some accounts of, them actually doing all this type of research. But then again, they sort of have, when they were, behind the wall, or so to speak, their scientists could do pretty much whatever they wanted, wherever they wanted, with whoever they wanted. Ethics be damned.
Yeah.
And it led to a lot of ugly, disgusting things. And I think some people even speculated that they had werewolves under their command, and that, like a tribe of werewolves that they used. And it's all fascinating accounts, and I'm pretty sure that there's a lot to dig into. I think even in the latest comic books, like they did a comic book, a sort of like Marvel released one of Capwolf, the return of Capwolf, where Captain America faced a group of a pack of werewolves, and he got turned into a werewolf, but luckily his super soldier serum, allowed him to not be, turned completely, so that way he still had his cognizance about him. So that way he could use the power of the werewolf and then fight all the other ones. And it's this big old action adventure. And I read it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. No, the Nazi bell is something I remember hearing about years ago. And it's one of those things that, like you were saying, Jason, no one really even knows exactly what it was necessarily.
Yeah.
As far as what I understand about the Nazi bell. And so there's like a lot of speculation as far as what it actually did, what actually it is. But yeah, it's definitely one of those stories that is fascinating, especially when, like you said, you have all these here it is right here. But yeah, showing up in different spots and all this kind of stuff, it just keeps the legend alive,
Yeah.
And there's I mean, what we do know of the Nazi scientists is that they were really smart, and a lot of them came to America and did a lot of the rocket technology, and a lot of things that we have today is thanks to them. So, like the very fact they did all that, Lord knows what else they were doing.
But is it thanks to them? I mean,
it's easy to make breakthroughs when you're not adhered to morality.
Right. Right. Exactly. Right.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff with the Nazi scientists that came to America and started NASA. I mean, there's a lot of very dark history with NASA, and like the Jim Parsons project, where they did rituals and stuff. I mean, there's a long, deep, dark history with all that. So a lot of occultism surrounding NASA. Yeah.
Unless you're a goat, because then if you're a goat, you're going to get blown. Because that's what they like to do. They like to have sex with goats.
Oh gosh, I did not know that.
Breaking news. Where's the breaking news alert?
Oh, hey.
What up, Laura? Laura's always been tuning in every single week. You gotta give it up to Laura. It's either her or Steven usually chimes in first. So
Laura, she's from Midnight in the Mountains.
Very nice.
So just plug
nice for her. Follow her on
Mhm.
Instagram. I don't know if I think she's TikTok as well. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Boom. Chi plug. Thank you for tuning in. I see Chris has got something else. Let's take a look.
Here's how, a lot of people recall the Bigfoots having a spider crawl.
Yeah.
And when I think spider crawl, most people think they're just on all fours, going about. When I think of the spider crawl, I think of them, like crawling like actual spiders with their elbows and knees all over the place, and they're just scuttling, and it's just so creepily.
So let me tell you, this brings up a good thing. So have you seen the new Merkel Media film, Sasquatch and the Missing Man?
Not yet.
Okay. I highly recommend you watch it, because There is a lady that on there that they interview that talks about the spider crawl, and she relates it more to like a cuttlefish or an octopus. So that depiction is very accurate.
Yeah,
You know,
that is
how you
super
picture it. Yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely creepy. Imagine, you know, a tall Bigfoot all of a sudden getting down like that, like right in front of you, and then like, what? Dude, that is weird. Very,
Yeah.
very weird. And definitely next level. That is for sure.
Yeah. If I saw that, I would just pass out.
And Laura says she didn't do it for the plug, and she doesn't have TikTok, just Instagram. But you're welcome anyway. We know you didn't do it for the plug, but we're gonna plug you anyway. So.
That's cool. I'll have to check her out. I love Instagram. I mean, yeah, I love Instagram. I'm all over it.
Yeah, Instagram's probably my favorite, honestly. I mean, I do TikTok because I have to do TikTok. But I like Instagram. I mean, a lot of them are very similar nowadays because they've all
it
kind of
is.
taken the TikTok model as far as those reels go, depending where you are at.
Mhm.
If you're on
Yeah.
Facebook, it's called something different. You know, it's all different wherever you go, but they're all basically 1-minute videos, essentially, is what they all are
Yeah.
nowadays, which is fine because I love them. There's a whole bunch of crazy, funny things out there for you to get into. That's for sure.
Definitely.
But yeah, dude,
Entertainment
love
for
it.
days.
I love it. Absolutely. All right, so we'll bring up something else here. We got
these
some
are
more,
some more
depictions. Yep.
Yeah, these are some more entities that you often encounter in these sort of things, and a lot of them are, you know, you have like for a long time, aside from the Palladians, there's also been the Laurans from the Laura constellation, I believe it's called, who are cat-like people. And this is a depiction of one of them, as well as the Watchers who like to watch over us. They're like these sort of dark shrouded entities in the upper right, and then the lower right is more of an ant-like creature with, you know, that borrows a lot from our terrestrial ants and sort of has a sort of similar alien physiology that it adopts and goes about. Drawing that one was really interesting because I had to, you know, do a lot of research on ants, and you know, I wanted to get everything done right, particularly the arms and the legs and the hands and how they do that.
Yeah.
Because it's like the ants, they don't, you know, they have a very particular type of claw formation that they use. And then the other one is sort of a dinosaur-like humanoid that is sort of, you know, that is out there that's, you know, doing whatever it is that he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, that's cool. I love all these depictions. And I didn't know there was any cat-like entities out there. Because everyone knows that I love cats, but I don't know if I would like a cat-like entity though. That might be terrifying, but no, these are awesome. And for those listening to this, you guys are gonna have to check out the YouTube and check out these pictures because they are absolutely awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I love them. They're cool. Hell yeah. Oh, we got Pamela chiming in about before. West of Sasquatch Chronicles saw a Bigfoot do the crawl as well. Howdy,
Yes, he
everyone.
did.
And I think that was what Jason you were talking about with the documentary, right? Did Wes say that, or did
Wes
did
talked
the girl
about it.
say that? The girl said it as
The
well.
girl
too,
said
right?
more like a cuttlefish.
That's
and
right.
Wes said the spider crawl, you know, on the fingertips and toes. But what the lady was referring to is more like his drawing of the, you know, how it, you know, it didn't really, it kind of moved like flowed over the rocks, you know, like kind of what his depiction was. But yeah, definitely 100%.
Yeah, interesting. Definitely
interesting.
interesting.
So you guys have had sleep paralysis yourself, right?
I have not had sleep paralysis per se, but I have experienced things like appear in my room, and but I've never been to where I can't move. I've always been able to move. But I have woke up and I've seen things.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me a couple times. And then like, you know, attacks happen afterwards. So yes, to answer your question.
I finally did an artistic account of my sleep paralysis demons.
Oh,
now in the picture, if you see on the right, there's your typical sleep paralysis demons, the more demonic looking, the Hat Man, or just the flat out generic shadow creature. And then on the right are my sleep paralysis demons, which I often refer to as either quantum rednecks or cosmic hillbillies. I don't know what they are.
Quantum rednecks is awesome.
Yeah, I like both of those descriptions.
It's sort of like one was a very tall, rotund man whose shirt could barely fit over his belly, and for some reason he's wearing black bicycle shorts, and he had sort of a very nondescript, sort of empty expression on his face, and long flowing red orange ginger hair. And then the other one was a sort of a squanch, sort of curled over, misshapen man who had plaid on, but not the black and white, lumberjack plaid, more of blue and green plaid pattern. And he was very bent over and hunched over and very mean and mean looking. And they both had trucker caps on, and they had entered into my room. They were going through stuff. I was completely frozen. And then they as I would gain, control of my body, they would look back and forth, just to make sure that I didn't get up yet. And as I was gaining control, they slowly showed themselves out and left. And when I got up, of course I was freaked out, but I completely understood sleep paralysis. So I, rationalized it as simply that. But even then, the terror and the fear and stuff, it's like chemically pumped into your veins, and you still have that feeling. And I went outside my door and I looked everywhere, and there was no place that these guys could have disappeared off to. I had 2 levels of security, electronics and deadbolts, and nothing was finessed with that anyone could have escaped. So it's sort of a really eerie type of thing. And as I've been, talking more about this, I don't know that anyone else has had sleep paralysis demons manifest as poor white trash. So we'll have to see about that. As if
I'm not laughing at you, but that just cracked me up.
No, I mean, yeah, that's such a strange encounter. It's for sure. I mean, out of all the things you could see in sleep paralysis, that's probably definitely one of the most strangest that I've heard. Pamela definitely has something to say about this, actually. I'll bring it up right here. Demons are said to take the form of something known possibly in life. That's definitely a possibility. And then she wrote something else before. Were your demons something you could say you have experienced in true life before? I mean, I guess if you consider these demons, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, it's definitely a weird... yeah, dude, I think that is the weirdest sleep paralysis encounter I've ever heard, for sure.
Well, the thing is that I sort of knew, I guess maybe some people would accuse me of rationalizing, but I had studied enough about sleep paralysis to understand what was happening to me in the initial experience. My body was shut off. Only my eyes could move. It was daytime because I was sleeping between overnight shifts. So, and then when the experience happened, these creatures came in. They just root through all my stuff. They just go through all my stuff. They don't do gray hag-isms where not one of them jumped on my chest or weighed me down. Mm-hmm. I felt no weight on my body other than my body being turned off. So it's not typical case by case, type like sleep paralysis. And then they would just go through my stuff, and then they would open doors and closets into walls where there were no doors and closets. Like I have like a walk-in closet. I don't have a sliding door closet. And one of them opened up a sliding door closet into one of the walls, and somehow in the wall there was refuge, like shirts and pants and clothes that are all, just all hung up, and it would go through it. They were obviously searching for something. And then as I gained control, they gained an awareness, and then, backed out of the room. So
yeah, dude, that is so weird. That is definitely weird. That's definitely a strange experience.
You know what I'm thinking? What if you were like, I don't know, like, because you called them quantum rednecks. What if you were like, overlaying over another dimension? Like you were
like some sort of screen memory or something like this?
No, not like a screen memory, but like say, like in an alternate reality, someone else owns your apartment or wherever you live, and you're seeing into their realm, and theirs has the sliding door, yours doesn't, and they're just doing their normal life, and then they turn around, they see you there, and like, oh my god, what is this guy? You know, that's
possibly that could be a possible thing, because I mean, in the past I've had a bedroom with a sliding door closet before,
okay.
so that's where I think that they were. I think I think they were going through shuffling, not just through my refuge, but they were shuffling through time and space itself in
Interesting.
a sort of way. I don't know how to put it. And as far as Pamela's question, have I had lost time events?
Yeah, there it is.
I've experienced one, but it was chemically induced. I had tried sleeping pills for the first time, just so that way I could sleep through the day,
Sure.
during my night shifts. And then I remember one time I was trying them out on my day off, and I sit down and I slowly relax. I close my eyes, then my eyes shut, just spring open. And then all of a sudden my bedroom is filled with daylight, and I'm like, oh my God. And I just, I feel I just, the sudden change is just miraculous, and it just hits me like a freight train, and I'm like, what the hell happened? And I looked at my clock, and it's exactly 8 hours later. So in a sense, I kind of understand what a lot of time loss would have been like, if I could offer that up. And I'll admit, a lot of my encounters are very mundane and not all that impressive, but I've had specific enough encounters and experiences in other things that leads me to have some sort of empathy, that when I do approach these people and I redraw their experiences, basically I'm lending them my 4 years of college, so to speak, and 30 years drawing experience to do this. I'm lending them that experience so that way they could visualize their stuff. And as far as I love to do it, because that's the only way that I can step into their experience, is to illustrate it out. And a lot of this, like I said, it just gives me empathy as far as, when I approach these people, that, I may not have run into an alien, but I understand sleep paralysis. So I know what it's like to be frozen there at the mercy of an entity. And when it comes to like time skips and lost time and stuff like this, I've had that happen to me too. So I kind of know what it is that you guys go into when these things happen.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Pamela did have a follow-up. I'm not sure where this is going, but she says, do you have low blood pressure at times? I was like, I don't know if that has something to do with like sleep paralysis or something, or if that's I don't know where.
As far as how I would have known at the time, I'm afraid I can't answer that question.
Yeah, right.
I don't think I'd be able to give you a satisfying answer. But as far as monitoring my blood pressure, the only blood pressure that I do have is high blood pressure, which now I'm taking medication for.
Gotcha.
It's the thing is that as far as, all I can go is just off of what I felt, and as far as, like, it's just, I feel the dread and terror of the experience, pumping through my veins.
Yeah.
And it's that sort of stuff that makes me suspect of everything that's sort of, going on, That's why so many people, when they discuss alien encounters, like you'll hear like, oh, they filled me with this paralyzing dread. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening. And then they'll say, but then when everything was cool, I felt this almost overwhelming love and peace. And I'm totally on their side now, and I'm like, wait a minute, stop. If you could be flooded, induced to feel paralyzing terror, then couldn't you also be induced to feel cooperative love, so that you're completely complacent?
Oh, for
You're
sure.
still, your emotions are being manipulated still, except from one extreme to the other. And I'm like, because of that, I also have a bit of a side eye when it comes to the abduction experience. And I know that, like, a lot of people, I don't know if they want to understand it in that way, or if they do it sort of like, oh, you're assigning sinister trace to these people, and they didn't do that, but then it's like, well, do you really know?
Mhm. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. You don't. You don't know,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely true, man. Yeah, the whole alien thing is, the abduction thing and everything. It's just, it's very, very, very strange phenomenon,
Hmm.
for sure. Like you said, especially with the things you're bringing up with um, the one extreme to another and that kind of stuff. And um, yeah, it's just it seems someone else had mentioned when they were talking about aliens and any type of other entities and stuff. Usually they want you to open up and communicate with them, and once you do, they're really not interested in helping you.
Yeah.
They're only interested in what they want. And that's basically what someone was saying about aliens, or I can't remember if it was aliens or something else, that like once they have your attention, that the helpfulness that they pretend to have for you goes away, and it's just more of like what they want, and they could care less about you, kind of a thing. But yeah, definitely interesting stuff here, man. I love
Yeah.
it. Oh, we got some more Pamela's bringing here with the questions here. Those that try to purposefully or purposely try an out-of-body experience are more successful for an out-of-body experience when their blood pressure is
Oh,
low. I
interesting.
see. Okay, I see. That makes sense. I didn't know that. Thank you for
Me
that.
neither.
Yeah, and they use meditation as well. Yeah, I could see that.
Mm.
That makes sense. I could see even lowering your heart rate could be part of that too as well.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe with us, like, who knows? I probably maybe induced myself to shoot myself out of my body at some point. I don't know, and then just
Right.
didn't remember coming back in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially during
That's
sleep,
yeah,
like, deep REM sleep, your heart rate's already low. You maybe, who knows, maybe during the sleep paralysis things, these entities can put you in that sort of a thing if they wanted to. And
yeah,
that's,
Oh,
yeah.
that could be a
As we could
possibility too.
relate, yeah, as we
Yeah.
could relate to either experience, it very well
Yep.
could have been,
Yeah.
is clearly my body was working against itself.
Oh,
yeah. Mm.
absolutely.
Mm.
All right. You got some more for us here. What do we got
All right,
here? This
Oh,
thing looks terrifying.
this is for a upcoming comic project that I'm working on called Twilight Sentinel,
I
and
love it.
what I'm doing is I'm taking three short stories of paranormal encounters from people that I know, and I'm translating them into comic book form. But the
awesome.
thing is that these aren't always, big scary monster stuff, all the time. It's a lot of it is, I think this is the only scary story, but the rest of them are more wholesome, more genteel sort of encounters and stuff of that nature. I'll go ahead and cycle through. These are like sketches, from
Oh,
some
I
of it.
love it.
Like in this
Cool.
one, a young man had encountered a few alien beings that brought him on board and showed him some fascinating stuff to mess with. And
Cool. I
we have
love it.
some of the backgrounds and some of the stuff. This is town made of mushroom people. Doesn't this bring up like a familiar thing that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, absolutely. With Kevin. Yep. Kevin and his experience with the mushroom people and like a
And then
whole
here we
village and
have
stuff. I
a little
love it.
village and a little thing where they're setting up a fire. And oh, here we have a young Kevin who's,
Oh, I love
about to
it.
have his glasses knocked off, as you see over here, knocked off by
I
a little
love it.
mushroom person.
I love little Kevin. I'm a fan of him. Look at him.
And here we have his
And it's,
sister.
yeah, that's right. Wow, I love it. That's so cool.
And then here we have them where they're, make believe in, like, because as you call, he's like, yeah, we're gonna hunt aliens, and his sister's, yeah, aliens.
Yeah.
Here we have a dog as related to another series, and then that
I
loops
love
us
it.
back around to this one.
No, that is so awesome. And
Mhm.
when does that officially come out?
I'm working on it at the moment. I'm right now. The script has been completed. I've hired an editor to do the editing for the scripting part of it,
I love it.
and it's going to be about 28 pages. I'm doing layouts right now, and I'm lettering because I want to get the lettering out of the way at the beginning of it. Since I have a complete script, I'm able to do that. So the layouts is I'm just laying out all the panels, just constructing them, and then I'll be filling them in with art later on. So doing the panel layout and page design, because I have a good idea on what I want to do with them because I wrote it down in the script. So it's sort of it's just a lot of legwork right now that I'm doing until I can eventually do the illustrated part itself.
Mhm.
So it's just the groundwork is being laid out right now, but the script is complete, and I sort of have a good idea of what it is that I want to do with it. My editor has given me her blessing, as far as, okay, we'll do this, you might want to do this, and then we're good to go to phase 2. So everything, it's a process that I'm working on right now. At the moment, I release updates via my Instagram. I'll probably be doing more refined sketches as it comes in, and then releasing those for character designs and stuff like this. It will then be finalized and used in the initial comic itself. So it's just a bunch of stuff to put together, and it's going to be a very fun thing. And Kevin's story is going to be one of those that's going to be translated.
That's
Awesome.
awesome. Yeah, I can't wait for that. I'll definitely be buying one myself. Yeah, no, that is so awesome. Kevin's awesome. I love that story, and I'm glad that you're putting him in this. And Pamela also says, "Nicely done," and I agree. No, man, that's awesome. I'm excited for you and Kevin for this. This is going to be really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that Kevin has one of his he's working on his own comic book and stuff, and
Hmm.
I've talked to him about that, and it sounds like he's gotten everything put together that he wants to get put together. So hopefully when that gets done, we'll see what'll happen, and I'll offer him advice where he needs it. But it's great to just sit down and just talk to him about comics and stuff like this. It's
Hmm.
Oh
it's
yeah.
so much fun. And then getting to create comics, to go back and forth on that is just a blast too. Working on all of this type of stuff. It's fun. And what's
Yeah.
unique about mine is that it's not just scary stories. It's fun, more wholesome type of stuff. Because when I did this project and I approached my editor, I let her know. I said, this isn't a scary book, because a lot of the comic books and a lot of the cryptid paranormal comic book stuff, it's all scary shit. It's
Hmm.
all, terror of whatever, the Loveland Frogman horror type of stuff,
Yeah.
the reign of the bloody death squonk, stuff like that, the whatever, let me try to think of the whatever
He was
friendly
trying to think of
cryptid
the
or
one more. Yeah,
chupacabra comes to murder
I
town.
love it. Yeah, there we go.
It's stuff like that. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I have
Yeah.
a friend that released a really popular, well, I say a friend, he's more of an acquaintance, that released a really popular comic over the past few years. It's in his second series right now, but the first series, which I really enjoyed, was Cult of Dracula, and his name's Rich, and if you haven't picked it up, if you like horror comics, Cult of Dracula is awesome. So
Yeah, that sounds cool.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a cool, that's a good little community for sure.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I love it,
Yeah,
man.
I definitely
Yeah,
want to
no,
get this
thank you.
stuff together so that way I have something to put on my table when I start making appearances at the local paranormal shops, because usually I have an empty table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 No, it's always good to fill that out so that way, give some people to actually put their eyes on
I mean,
something,
I've done my own comics before. I've
Here, let me take this down. There you are. I
Just
love
kind of
it.
out of focus. There we go.
There he is.
Awesome.
I've
Here, let
printed
me,
my own comics before, and so it's this
oh,
was
that's
done
cool.
like 10 years ago,
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm getting back into it. I have to shake off a lot of rust because I'm out of the
Oh, yeah.
habit.
Yeah.
But doing everything right, doing everything properly, just not shooting from the hip, just doing everything, by the numbers is so much better when we get it all together and stuff of that nature.
Yeah. I'm a huge comic book fan, man. You don't even understand. I probably have I think I have around 10 long boxes right now full. And if you can see behind me right here, all that's comics on my shelf. So
that is a lot of comics.
Yeah.
That is a lot. That's
I have
definitely
about
more than anything I have of anything
maybe
I have.
close to 15,000 comics. I think I have.
I think I
I've
got
been collecting since high school. So
Yeah.
you know.
I got like 3.5 long boxes. So I feel you.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So Jason, is there any other questions you wanted to ask?
I'm trying to think. There's that one big question. Should I ask it?
The flat Earth one.
What do you think about flat Earth?
Or the Mendeley
Flat
question?
Earth. You got to say it right.
Earth.
Earth.
Yeah, I love flat Earth.
So I'll start it out. So I went on a deep dive a few years ago, and I was really convinced the Earth was flat. Right now, I'm not so much, but I do have a lot of questions still about flight paths and just all the stuff that doesn't make sense. Why do planes fly so far out of the way when you could take a direct route and all that? But if you flatten everything out, then that route makes perfect sense because it is the direct route they're taking. So that's weird to me. And the biggest thing to me, because I'm a photographer, is I'm gonna use my Terminator skull. This is the T3000 or T1000. I mean, so where's it? Yeah, T1000.
I like how you just have that readily available on your desk.
No, that's the T800. The
T800.
That's the one that does liquid.
That's right. So
get it right, dork.
I'm sorry, man. Okay,
start it over.
Okay, so the T800. So no, I'm gonna use this. This is the closest thing to a ball that I have.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So the thing that gets me is if the sun is millions and millions of miles away, right, and it's here, then why do we have hot spots on the clouds? See how this covers the whole head, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you've ever been in the airplane and you've looked down at the clouds, you're seeing the sun like that on the top of the clouds, like a hot spot, not dissipated over the whole thing. And that's what's got me. I'm like, well, how do you explain that? The sun has to be closer than what we were told, So that's my big thing of why I'm still, maybe it's flat. Maybe the sun is inside here with us,
Interesting. Let's Chris. Let's hear it, Chris.
My understanding, I respect flat Earth, but I'm more married to the globe because from a literary model, the globe Earth makes sense because you can have intergalactic adventure. With the flat Earth, though, everything is self-contained. If there's any extra terrestrial stuff, it's extraterritorial. That means you have to go beyond the ice wall for your adventure. And I'm okay with that. But as far as I feel, flat Earth is a bit disingenuous in its argumentation, in that they argue with scientists. Scientists are nerds. And a lot of the flat earthers are jocks. So, of course, they browbeat the scientists into whatever and then declare a victory as they, like the pigeon who flips the chessboard and walks away like he won. That's how that happens. What they don't do, most of the flat earthers do, is they do not engage with engineers. If they were to engage with engineers, then I think they would get their asses handed to them. And engineering and science they work on the same principles, but they're two different things. Engineering is more of a reality-based discipline. And I think they do account for the curvature in some places, but they practice the flat plane in certain others. And that does call into question, and of course, maybe because that happens, a lot of flat earthers feel that gives validity to their position. which I can understand that, but I would like to see more. If I'm tired of the debates because it's just people going in circles.
Yeah.
And there's too much. There's too much argumentative points in the flat Earth debate that are just nonsensical. Like the moonlight gives off cold energy, gives off cold light. It's like, well, no shit, it's nighttime, type of thing. And it's just it doesn't quite sit well with me. I remember one time where I think it was David Weiss he appeared on for like he called into the Dick show, and he argued with Dick, who is an engineer, about a lot of these things, and David Weiss just got his ass handed to him. And it's just this, I mean, I don't know what to make of it now, but the thing is finding the solution, finding for any one of us laymen, everymen, average regular citizens to prove it. We would have to go through some astronomically expensive processes to do it, getting our asses out into space. And so far they'll straight up tell you only billionaires get to go out into space casually as a thing for fun. The rest of us, you're stuck at home. You can go as high as the planes can take you, type of thing. But I wish Flat Earth would do more to romanticize Flat Earth, because it is a romantic model. It's fun. It's rife with adventure. It's rife with exploration, and they're not doing anything with it. They're just arguing the tried and true points that they do. But what I want to see is some people make some flat Earth movies, make some flat Earth comic books, write some flat Earth novels. We already have Discworld and what is it? Lord of the Rings. People say Lord of the Rings is based on a flat Earth model. Okay, that's cool. Give us more Lord of the Rings level fiction. Give us some adventure, because that's how you're going to win people over, is by presenting them with some adventure and stuff like this. Because if we go by the ice wall model, then there's extraterritorial lands up there. Maybe that's where our grays are coming from. Maybe that's where the Bigfoots are coming from. There's probably a Dogman Island out there. I think it was.
I don't want to visit Dog. I don't want to visit that island.
What is it? The Celia scenes or something like that, where like a Dogman people depicted in the Bible.
Yep.
Maybe they've got an island up there someplace, or all this fun stuff. And I want to see the flat earthers have fun with it, and just play with it a bit, and do, because I want to read a really cool flat earth comic book. I want to see some flat earth adventure stuff, make it cool, put elves and stuff in, and then all that fun shit,
Yeah, because they are very humorless about it, and just very serious, to your point. And it, I think you said, I think you'd get a little bit further if you made some, funny content about it, or like you said, some adventures, something to draw people into it.
Yeah, I think one person brought it up to Brendan Schwab, the flat Earth theory. Do not tell him about flat Earth. Do not tell Brendan Schwab about flat Earth, because he flipped his truck. He's going to try to flip the flat Earth. So keep him away from that theory.
Yeah, well, he's strong enough to do it.
No, he's going to do it in his goddamn truck.
Yeah,
you where he flipped that fucking $1,000, that $100,000 truck.
Well, he's a driver now. He's a sports car driver, but a truck car driver.
Just keep him particularly away from the flat Earth. I don't want him to flip it.
Yeah.
So you're talking about. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're good.
I was just thinking about the Lord of the Rings and the how Middle Earth is flat Earth. Well, I think Middle Earth is more inner Earth, like it's a hollow Earth, and that's why it's called Middle Earth. And there's a lot of theories out there. I think more than theories, that Tolkien knew more than what he was letting on. Like Tolkien and C.S. Lewis were like communicating and knew about this like alternate dimension. That's why Lewis wrote about the going through the wardrobe into another dimension, and like there's the Middle Earth, and then whenever the elves, whenever they go across the water into like their homeland that's in like another dimension, and there's so much speculation about the whole Tolkien like theories, and how the Silmarillions, how they sung the world into existence. I mean, it's so huge. I don't want to get started because I'm going to forget. I forgot more than I know now about all of that. But yeah, I used to be big into Tolkien and like theories of Miller's could possibly be a reality out there. So
it's definitely interesting for sure.
Yeah.
And like you said, a huge topic, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, what an awesome episode. Trying to think, is there one last thing we want to bring up before we wrap this up? Is there any last minute? Yes, Jason looks like he has something he wants to bring up.
We talked about it. We never asked him.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
What is your favorite conspiracy theory?
My favorite one is the Eisenhower treaty with the Greys. That's my favorite one, because that leads credence to all of the Greys farming people, and people being disappeared and all that stuff, and it attaches a level of responsibility to the government to create a shadow government to hide all this stuff, and it leads credence to the Men in Black as to why they would be here, trying to cover this stuff up, and whenever anybody has an experience, they'll come over and try to hush them up quite, right away, because they can't have people talking about what could be, in secret projects and stuff like this, in addition to if they actually see aliens come across them and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a big theory.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a deeper. I mean, it's definitely one of the more popular UFO conspiracies out there for sure. But I mean, I've definitely heard that one before. So yeah, I mean, I can understand why you would be definitely drawn to that one for sure. And that's one of those ones that, like, you're right, just given all the fact of all the abductions and everything that you just mentioned, it's like that could be, but that's believable. That's definitely more than believable. That the U.S. government, maybe not Eisenhower, but somebody along the way, made some sort of deal with these entities, because that would explain a lot of things like that. But yeah, dude.
Yeah.
What an episode. I mean, just a lot of cool things. We're so glad that you came on. I'm glad that you reached out, because paranormal side, I mean, just the Dabblerverse talk. I mean, bringing up Brendan Schaub out of nowhere, that made my night. So, if nothing else, like, no, it was an awesome episode all around. So, before you go, why don't you plug all the stuff you want to plug, all your social medias, all the things you're going to be doing, your podcast, obviously, all that, plug all that stuff. And then, Jason, we didn't mention our sponsor, so we have to do that before we leave.
Yes.
And then we'll go from there.
Oh, I got to say one more thing, dude.
Yeah, go for it.
So, Chris, do you know who Jim Harold is? Have you ever heard this before? I'm about to blow your mind. You don't know who Jim Harold Campfire, yeah.
Yeah.
Your voice, and you even look like him a little bit. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Oh my God, it's him.
Yeah, no, you're kind of blowing my mind right now. So
that's funny.
When you first came on, I was like, "Wait, is Jim Harold trolling me?"
alternate reality.
Yeah, doppelganger.
Yeah, absolutely. Pamela said, "Great discussion. Thank you, man."
You're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely awesome. So yeah, plug away, bud.
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Conspire a Theory, all one word. You can find my podcast on any podcatcher or RSS feed host at Conspire a Theory. Just look it up. It's you're going to find me primarily on Spotify. I have a YouTube channel. I'm putting stuff out there. Just search Conspire a Theory. You'll be able to find it. It'll be the tag with the little with my little emblem, which is the little fox all curled up, and you'll you can, and if you follow my podcast, I'll provide links to they should have links to my link tree, which will then give you all the links everywhere that you need to go.
Awesome.
Cool. And we'll post your link tree in this episode description as well. That way everyone can find all your socials, all the things that you're doing, and be up to date with what you're doing. And I'm definitely going to be subscribing to your pod. I'm definitely going to be following you because I'll be messaging you about Blind Mike soon.
So real quick before I get into the sponsor, so you're talking about Blind Mike. So is he the hip hop guy also? The rap?
No, that would be incredible if Blind Mike did do rap. But no, Blind Mike worked for Barstool Sports years ago.
Okay.
Well, I don't want to say worked. He was an intern, got let go. Then he got famous, I would say, from Kirk Minahan show. He was like kind of like a third man in kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then he started doing his own podcast, the Blind Mike Project, which he talks about a lot about comedy and comedians and stuff. Okay. That's where that kind of stuff comes in. And then he also does Why You're Laughing, which is like a history of comedy, comedians, shows, stuff like that. Cool. So yeah, Blind Mike's great. If you like comedy content, like especially stand-up stuff, like what's going on in the stand-up world and that sort of thing, infighting with comedians and stuff. That's where I learned about what we were talking about earlier was from Mike bringing it up. So cool. If you're into comedy in that kind of like world, it's a whole other, like he was saying, the Dabbleverse is a whole other world that you can get lost down a lot of rabbit holes, just like the paranormal community. You know what I mean? If you got time on your hands, you'll have a good time. So
I don't have any time right now.
Yeah, me neither. But I still listen and I have a great time with it, as little as I know. But yeah, thank you, Chris, for coming on. We really appreciate it. That's gonna wrap it up for this episode. Fat Tack, make sure you guys support them. AFK discussions, they got holsters with AFK on it. I'm sure there's gonna be more AFK merch coming out there down the pipe. And we will see you guys next week. Peace.